It's the year 2023, and if you're looking for a mid-range console that can emulate all your favourite retro games, we may have the solution for you. Introducing the Trimui TG5040 handheld gaming console. Stay tuned as we show you how this handheld brings modern touches from the 21st century and combines it with retro gameplay. In today's independent review, we'll be unboxing the console, giving a system overview, some gameplay and emulation, and also our final review. Well, firstly, let's start with the unboxing. The console came well packaged from the supplier. The console came well presented in a high quality, semi-gloss box. The packaging was a thick, double-walled cardboard box, and as stipulated, the console is RoHS compliant. Upon opening the packaging, we're greeted with a basic user manual outlining key functionality as well as firmware update procedures. The console came well wrapped in recyclable plastic material, and a smart foam layer was used to insulate the IPS backlit screen. The bottom of the packaging came with an insulated plastic retainer, as well as a USB-C charging cable. The IPS backlit screen also had a protective film layer. One of the first features that stood out for us when reviewing this console was its well thought out but simplified design. The Trimui features your basic directional A, B and XY buttons, as well as two micro analog buttons. The start, select and menu buttons are conveniently placed on the front half of the console, while the bottom features a locking function key, a clever lanyard hole, headphone jack, USB-C charging port and micro SD adapter. The rear of the console is extremely well finished and made of ABS plastic, similar to that of the Nintendo Switch Lite. While the top of the console features the standard RL, R1, L1 buttons, however in this case are bottom inverted. And not forgetting the link cable via USB-C, power and volume buttons. As expected in this day of age, the console features a beautiful 4.96-inch IPS backlit screen, as well as LED adjustable analog sticks. The console we tested was lucky enough to come with a 128GB micro SD card filled with all your favourite retro emulators and ROMs. If over 13,000 ROMs and 30 emulators is still not enough to satisfy your retro hunger, it's simply a matter of removing the micro SD card and plugging it into any Windows-based PC, and then dropping and dragging any additional ROMs and emulators into the specified pre-created folders. One of the well thought out ideas when creating the Trimui Smart Pro was its form factor. While still retaining the 4.9-inch IPS backlit screen, similar size to the Nintendo Switch Lite, the console dwarfs in size. Battery consumption is similar, however the weight has been reduced dramatically. The console itself is powered off an A53 1.8 GHz quad-core processor with a GE 8300 600 MHz GPU, as well as 1GB DDR4 RAM, Wi-Fi capability, and a 5000 mAh battery. The Trimui Smart Pro runs off open source Linux software, and as previously stated, includes over 30 emulators and 13,000 ROMs. Upon powering up the console, you're greeted with a welcome scene, a simple GUI, easy to use setup with 3 of your favourite emulated consoles, 1 being arcade vertical shooters, 2 being NES, and 3 all your favourite Pokemon ROMs. For all you retro lovers considering purchasing this console, MechDIY has set up the opening menu screen with all your favourite Pokemon games, featuring Pokemon Blue, Yellow, Emerald, and of course aftermarket versions such as Pokemon 2000 in every language available. As stated in the introduction of our video, the console has been set up with user comfortability in mind. By simply pressing the menu key, a list of options come up, which include Game Save, Game Load, Advanced Menu Settings, which display frames per minute and real-time gameplay stats, and as well as an exit menu, which returns you back to the original home screen. With over 30 emulators and 13,000 ROMs, the choice to test this console was always going to be difficult. So we decided to put it through its paces with some demanding 3D graphics from the N64 console range. And what better game to test this console with than the all-time classic Mortal Kombat. While testing gameplay, we noticed that the graphics were on tune and the button response was perfect. However, one aspect of the console that did need some fine tuning was when volume was turned up to its maximum, there was a slight hum and vibration from the speaker. For our next test, we decided to choose a more memory-hungry emulator, and in this instance, it was the PS1. And what better game than Crash Team Racing? We were quite pleased with the emulation of PS1 games. The console was able to hold 30 frames per second, with load times faster than the original PS1 console. And for another RAM-intensive test, we decided to use the emulation made for the Dreamcast. With Sonic Adventure 2, we found that gameplay was crisp and controls were smooth, and the console held at 30 frames per second. Being a Game Boy lover, our final test was to emulate the Game Boy Advance console. Utilising Metal Slug as our base, the console was easily able to play the 2D graphics supplied by the Game Boy Advance ROM. After hours of enjoying the Trimui game console, we felt it was time to share our independent review. Enjoying this video? Now's the perfect time to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd like to thank MechDIY for supplying this console for an independent review. The Trimui Smart Pro came well packaged, and for a retail price of US $79 is more than a bargain at this price range with these finishes. For an entry-level console, you can't expect the features of touchscreen like the Nintendo Switch. However, this is not a necessity for a retro lover. And as previously stated, when volume is turned up to its maximum, there is a slight rumble in the speaker, which the manufacturer could overcome in its next generation model with some sound deafening foam. We did enjoy the idea of the LED buttons recessed behind the analog stick. However, we're uncertain about the quality of the stick itself. For a US $79 console, the finishes were far better than we expected. The shell was cleanly molded out of ABS plastic, and buttons felt similar to those of the Nintendo Switch. The open source Linux software was simple to use, as was the layout of the directional buttons and keys. With over 30 emulators and 13,000 ROMs, gameplay was more than adequate. And adding more emulators and ROMs was as simple as plugging in the micro SD card into any Windows-based system. Having reviewed many third-party aftermarket retro consoles, we felt this is one of the better ones for 2023 and scored it an 8.5 out of 10. This Christmas, if you're looking for a gift for a partner, family member or friend, we hope you consider MechDIY's Trimui Smart Pro.